I wasn't planning to talk about this, ever. But the other day I was walking past my mum's building. Same old flats, same concrete stink. And I saw this black umbrella propped up outside the stairwell, sun blazing, dry pavement, and the umbrella was dripping. Just steady little drops, like it had come from a thunderstorm, only it hadn't. That did it. Unlocked the drawer I'd shoved this memory into 25 years ago. Guess it never really left. Back in '99, I was 16, living with my mum in a block of council flats that looked like a prison if you squinted. 10 floors of bare concrete and buzzing lights. The hallway always smelled like damp socks and microwave curry, and the carpet felt permanently wet under your socks. Not soaked, just wrong, like it held onto moisture out of spite. I spent most evenings holed up in the front room, playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater until my thumbs went numb. Mum chain-smoked by the kitchen window, shouting answers at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, even when no one was asking. It wasn't a good time, but it was ours. The flat across from us, 8B, had been empty for months. Landlord said it was being rewired. No lights, no movement, no noise. Then one day, it was just occupied. No moving van, no clattering furniture, just a dim light behind the door and that smell again. Wet concrete and cold metal, thicker than usual. I didn't think much of it until I saw him. Properly saw him. I'd stepped out late one night to take the bin down. Wasn't raining, not even cloudy. But the man from 8B stood in the hallway, holding a black umbrella. He wasn't facing me, wasn't doing anything, just standing there, coat hanging stiff around him like it had forgotten how to bend. I said, "All right." He didn't answer, didn't turn, just started walking away, umbrella tapping lightly behind him. Only it wasn't walking. Not exactly. It looked like someone was dragging him backward, frame by frame. His feet moved, sure, but they didn't match the motion. His shoulders stayed stiff. His head didn't shift at all. The motion made my stomach twist, like I'd just seen someone blink sideways. That was the first time. The first time I felt that heat rise in the back of my neck, that twitch behind my eyes. You know the one. When your brain sees something it can't file anywhere. After that, I noticed him more. Always at strange hours. 2:12 in the morning, 5:09 in the afternoon. He never said a word. Never looked anyone in the eye. I never heard his door open or close. Not once. Sometimes he'd stand in the hallway for 20 minutes, just staring at the wall. Other times, he'd walk down the corridor and disappear before reaching the lift. No footsteps, no sound, just gone. One time, I saw him turn the corner, but he didn't pivot. He slid, like his body was on a rail, like he wasn't walking through space, but being edited into it. I told Craig, my mate from school. He laughed it off, called him Umbrella Man, and said I was losing it. Said I needed to stop watching The Ring on repeat and go outside. He wasn't wrong, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. There was something wrong with the way that man moved. I started keeping notes, times I saw him, what he was wearing, how long he stood still. I even drew a little map of where he'd appear. And it started to loop. Same time, same place, same motion, like a bad video on repeat. So I borrowed Craig's camcorder, told him I needed it for a media studies project. He chucked it at me without a second thought. The thing was ancient, big, chunky, with a shoulder strap and actual tapes. I loved it. I filmed the hallway, through the peephole, from the stairwell. Once, I left it running on a tripod in the kitchen window, pointed at the communal walkway. The first tape made my blood run cold. It showed him walking across the hallway, same as I'd seen with my own eyes. But on the tape, He was walking backward, not played in reverse. Walking backward naturally, like his knees bent the wrong way. His arms didn't swing, his coat barely moved, just gliding backward with perfect control. The next night, I recorded again. This time he turned his head toward the camera. The frame glitched, just for a second. A horizontal smear across his face, like the tape buckled, except nothing else flickered, just his head. Then he raised the umbrella, slowly, mechanically, and pointed it straight at the lens. I turned the camcorder off and nearly dropped it. Later that night, I watched it again, and I heard something behind me. Not on the tape, in the room. A whisper, wet, close to my ear, like someone trying to say my name underwater. I froze, didn't breathe, just stared at the screen as the umbrella pointed straight at me. And the whisper, God, it sounded wrong. Not just the words, but the direction, like it was coming from a place just next to reality. I turned around, nothing there. Mum was still in the kitchen, cursing at the kettle, but the whisper lingered in my bones like mold. After that, I stopped filming. I couldn't handle it, but I had to know, so I decided I'd wait for him, watch him, try to see what he did when he thought no one was looking. It was just after 2 a.m. I sat in the hallway on this old camping stool, door cracked open. At 2:13, his door creaked. Light spilled out, yellow and watery. He stepped into the hallway, just like before. Same coat, same umbrella, still dripping, though the air was dry. He turned his head. Not all the way, just enough that I saw his face. His mouth was open, but it didn't move. His eyes blinked in reverse, like the lids rolled upward. Then he walked forward, or tried to. Each step snapped into place like broken film being stitched together. My eyes couldn't track it. My brain wanted to look away. He stopped just outside my door, and he split. Not physically. It wasn't blood or gore, just a tearing in reality, like the tape itself was coming undone. One version of him stayed still. The other peeled away, sideways, into 2 dimensions. Flat, colorless, buzzing like static. And through that slit in space I saw it. Not a monster, not even a shape. Just direction. Depth that didn't exist. Angles that pointed inward. Like a crack in a mirror that didn't reflect anything. Just stared back. It was watching me. I know that much. Then the door slammed shut. The light went out. And everything was quiet again. I didn't sleep. I didn't speak. I just sat there until the sun came up and the hallway smelled like toast from upstairs. Later that day, I knocked on his door. Nothing. I asked the landlord if the tenant in 8B had moved out. He looked confused. That flat's empty, he said. Been rewiring the circuits in there for months. Nobody's allowed in. You all right? I said, yeah, just mistaken. Craig stopped answering my calls after I showed him the tape. Not because he was scared, because the tape was blank. Just static, all of them, like they'd never been recorded. Eventually I gave up, left home, tried to move on, grew up. I'd almost forgotten. Until last week, when I saw the umbrella, same color, same grip, same angle, resting against the wall outside my mum's flats, dripping, no clouds, no rain, just that steady tap, tap, tap on dry concrete. I didn't stop, didn't touch it, just walked straight past and kept moving. Later, at the petrol station, I glanced up at the CCTV monitor behind the till, and there I was, on the screen, walking backward, coat on, umbrella in hand, just gliding out of frame. I looked down at myself. No coat, no umbrella, nothing. But on that screen, I was repeating. Same steps, same turn of the head, and I swear I blinked in reverse. When people ask what I do for work, I usually just say restoration. It sounds better than saying I fix mannequins, not new ones, used ones. Mostly kids' mannequins from boutiques and department stores. I repaint faces, reattach arms, scrub off scuff marks and marker stains. It's weirder than it sounds. And it already sounds weird. You'd be surprised how many come in filthy. Some are missing fingers or have bite marks on the plastic. I got one once that had tiny scratch marks beneath every fingernail, like someone had tried to claw their way out. I filed those down and didn't think much of it. Anyway, this isn't about my job. It's about my daughter, Gracie. She's 5. Just me and her now, in a quiet little house with scuffed up floors and mismatched furniture. She's got a tablet glued to her hands half the time. Watches all kinds of stuff, cartoons, baking tutorials, videos of people painting their nails. She once asked me if I could make hers almond-shaped. I said I'd try. Sunday evenings became our little routine. She'd sit on the floor cross-legged, and I'd trim her nails while she watched something cheerful. I'd make dumb commentary like I was running a salon, and she'd giggle the whole way through. Then one Sunday, I heard it. It was just a whisper, real faint. I was clipping her thumbnail when I heard, "Stop." Not her voice, not from the tablet. It came from somewhere else, like it came from the clippers, or maybe from the nail itself. She didn't react, didn't hear it, just kept watching her video, smiling. I brushed it off. Long day, no sleep, probably nothing. Next week, it happened again. "Please don't," whispered Wright as I clipped her pinky nail. Her eyes were still locked on the screen. I froze, looked at the clippers, and kept going. What was I supposed to say? I started wearing gloves after that. Told myself it was for hygiene, but the truth was I didn't like how warm the clippings felt. They should have cooled the second they hit the air, but they didn't. Not right away. They felt like they were holding on. I flushed them. Didn't want them in the trash. A few days later, I found 3 of them on the kitchen floor, arranged in a little spiral near the fridge. I stared at them for a long time before sweeping them up. Then I found 2 more in a drawer, one on my pillow, 10 clippings on Sunday. 9 flushed. Some kept coming back. I stopped pretending it was just me. That week, I clipped her nails with the window open and music playing. I didn't hear anything. That helped a little. Until that night, when I saw the bathroom light was on. The sink was dry. But the clippings were back, arranged in 2 words. Still her. My mouth went dry. The air smelled strange. Not like blood or metal, more like plastic. That synthetic, oily scent that clings to your hands after working on a mannequin head. Like warm vinyl or melted Halloween masks. I swept them into a Ziploc, taped it shut, and tossed it into the outside trash bin. The next morning, there was one in the bathtub. Just sitting there, clean, curled, not dusty. After that, I stopped flushing them. I started keeping the clippings in jars, glass with screw-on lids. One for fingers, one for toes. I duct-taped the lids and stashed them in the shed. Thought maybe if I didn't get rid of them, they'd stop coming back. That worked. For a while. Then her nails started growing faster and weirder. They came in with a curve, thin and horn-like at the ends. She scratched her own cheek in her sleep and left a mark like a bite. When I asked if she felt okay, she said her hands were buzzy. That word stuck with me. I was restoring a child-sized mannequin that week. One of the fancy ones with molded eyelashes and puckered lips. While repainting the teeth, I noticed something inside the mouth. 3 clippings, nestled between the teeth like they'd been placed there carefully. Still damp. I boxed the mannequin. Didn't finish the job. I stopped taking new work after that. Then came the night with the sound. It was just after midnight. The house was dark. I was brushing my teeth when I heard something tapping. Not outside, inside the wall, behind the mirror. Then the sink gurgled. It didn't overflow with water. It filled with nail clippings, a mound of them, wet, pale, stacked like insect shells. Some of them twitched. A few shifted in place. The sound underneath was low, like white noise buried in cotton. I leaned in. Couldn't help it. The clippings rearranged fast and precise, like they practiced. Not yours. I turned off the light and walked away. Woke Gracie up. Drove out to the edge of town. Slept in the car behind an empty strip mall. She didn't ask why. When we came back, everything looked fine. But the smell was still there. That warm, artificial scent, like plastic left on a heater. Same as the mannequins. I checked the jars, still sealed. But the clippings inside weren't loose anymore. They'd clumped together into shapes, spirals, tight rings, little joints, like bones, but out of order. That's when I added a third jar. Didn't label it. Just knew it wasn't for fingers or toes. Gracie's been herself mostly. Still bright, still sweet. But she watches me more now, like she's waiting for something. And she started asking strange things in that gentle, curious voice kids have. Do the pieces miss me? What pieces? The ones that go away. Do they feel it? I tell her no. I always tell her no. She never looks convinced. I set up a mannequin in the living room. Same height as her, blue eyes. Just enough resemblance to be unsettling if you glance too quickly. I tell people she likes it, that she thinks it's funny, but it's not for her. I hollowed out the chest and lined it with foam. That's where I keep the jars now. It's the only place they stop moving. I don't know why, but when they're inside her shape, they settle. Some nights, I hear tapping from inside the mannequin. Just one soft tick every few hours, like nails brushing plastic. I don't open it anymore. Last night, I found a clipping in the hallway. Longer than usual, narrow, no curve to it, sharp as a needle. I checked Gracie's hands, counted 10 fingers, all normal. She saw me staring and said, "You're too late." Then she laughed, didn't explain. I didn't ask, because I think they're not trying to become her again. I think they're becoming something else. Eyes in the glass. You ever look in the mirror and feel like something's just off? Not the way you look, but something deeper. Like your reflection's thinking something you're not, or watching you a little too closely. I used to get that feeling a lot when I was a teenager. Thought it was just anxiety, or hormones or whatever. But then there was this one thing, this one year, where I saw something I've never been able to explain. And even now, decades later, I can't look at my own reflection for too long without wondering if it's still in there. This happened back in 1996. I was 15, living in a boring little suburb in northern England. Life was normal, school, Sega, Saturday morning cartoons. Goosebumps would be on the telly, and I was properly obsessed with that. My friends were getting into Nirvana and Blur, and I was still hanging on to my cassette copy of Queen's greatest hits. I wasn't cool, but I was content. We lived down a quiet cul-de-sac, and at the very end was this old guy, Mr. Hargrove. Bit of a recluse, kept to himself. No wife, no kids, just this overgrown garden and curtains always drawn. Some people said he was into weird stuff, antiques, astronomy, old cult books, probably just rumours. Anyway, he died that summer. Heart failure, I think. No funeral, no family came around. The council came in, cleared the house out, and that was that. A few days later, my dad came home with a cardboard box. Some of it was going to the skip, he said. Figured I'd save it. Might be worth something. Most of it was junk. Yellowing papers, broken clocks. But there was one thing that caught my mum's eye. This decorative egg-shaped ornament made of polished glass and metal, about the size of a grapefruit. It had this weird pearlescent shimmer to it, wobbled slightly whenever you set it down. "It's beautiful," she said, and plunked it right on my bedroom desk. At first, I barely noticed it. Just another piece of furniture. But then I started seeing weird things in reflections. Little things. In the bathroom, I caught myself blinking late. Like, I'd close my eyes, then watch my reflection blink a second after. I figured I was tired. But it happened again in the back of a spoon. Then in the screen of the telly when it was turned off. My reflection started looking worried, not scared, just kind of quietly panicked, brows furrowed, shoulders tense. When I was calm, it looked like it was bracing for something. I tried to tell myself it was stress, that maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. Light can bend weird in curved surfaces. I even convinced myself it was the new energy-saving bulbs in the bathroom. I didn't tell anyone. What was I supposed to say? "Hey Mum, my reflection's got anxiety." It got worse. The egg, ornament, whatever it was, started drawing my attention more and more. I'd catch myself staring at it for no reason. It was never fully still, always wobbling slightly, like it was breathing. One night, I leaned in close and looked at my face reflected in the curve of the glass. It wasn't my face. It was made of eyes, tiny, shifting eyes, layered like scales, each one blinking, tracking me, reacting independently. I stumbled back so fast I tripped over my chair, told myself I was imagining it. Lack of sleep, stress, hormones, all the usual suspects. I stuffed the ornament in a drawer under a pile of clothes and tried to forget about it. But the reflections didn't stop. A couple nights later, I was brushing my teeth and caught something in the chrome of the faucet. Not just a delayed movement this time. My reflection smiled at me. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't even looking happy. It was a sad smile, like it knew something I didn't. And then the whispers started. It began as faint murmurs, like wind through a crack in the window. But soon I could make out words. Quiet, rushed, like someone trapped behind thick glass. "It's cold here. Can you hear me? Don't look too long." Once, it whispered my name. Not out loud, just in my head, but clear as anything. That was the first time I actually screamed. After that, I avoided mirrors entirely, covered the bathroom, one with a towel, turned the TV to face the wall when I wasn't using it. I started checking windows at night to make sure nothing was staring back. I barely slept. And then came the worst moment. It was raining. My parents were out. I was alone in the living room, lights off, just kind of existing. I remember the X-Files theme playing faintly from upstairs. I must have left the TV on. I glanced at the old CRT screen in the corner. Switched off. Just a blank black curve, except I could see my reflection. It didn't move when I did. Just stared at me, wide-eyed, frozen. Then, slowly, unnaturally, it raised its hand and placed a single finger against its lips. Shh. It held that pose as it began to breathe. Slow, shallow breaths, even though I wasn't breathing at all. Its chest rose and fell. Mine didn't. That broke me. I sprinted upstairs, yanked open the drawer, and grabbed the ornament. It felt warm. Not like room temperature warm, body warm, alive warm. I took it outside in the rain and smashed it on the driveway with a brick. It cracked, but didn't shatter. I hit it again, until finally it burst open into jagged pieces, each one reflecting some part of me. But none of them matched. One shard showed me crying. Another had my mouth open in a silent scream. One showed my eyes closed until they suddenly snapped open and stared directly at me. I buried the pieces in the garden under wet soil and a pile of bricks. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, waiting to see if anything would crawl out of the shadows. For a while, it felt like things went back to normal. No more whispers, no more wrong reflections. I got older, left home, forgot about the whole thing like it was a bad dream I'd convinced myself was real. But lately, it's been starting again. Not often, just now and then. In the curve of a kettle, a rain-slicked window, or the blank screen of my phone when it's off. My reflection twitches slightly, like it's lagging behind. Sometimes it blinks twice when I only blink once. Sometimes it presses a finger to its lips again. And once, not long ago, I saw it mouth something. No sound, just the shape of the words. It's listening. I don't know what it is. I don't want to know, but I don't think I destroyed it. I think I just buried it, like I gave it a place to wait. A few weeks ago, my niece visited. She's 5, smart kid, bit odd. She stared at me for a long time, and I asked her what was up. She said, "Your eyes are doing that thing again." I asked what thing. She just shrugged. They don't blink right. Then she went back to coloring. So yeah, that's it. That's my story. I haven't told anyone else. Not because I'm scared they won't believe me. I'm scared they will. All I know is sometimes, when I'm brushing my teeth or walking past a shop window, I catch my reflection watching me just a little too closely, like it's waiting for something, like it knows a secret I don't. And if it ever leans forward and starts to speak again, I don't think I'll stick around to hear what it says.